You know what your problem is?
I ain't got no problem, man. Don't tell me. Don't tell me what my problem is.
The atmosphere on the Love and Hip Hop Atlanta set was tense, charged with a level of energy that only reality TV could create. Cameras were rolling, capturing another chapter in a season that had already seen more than its share of dramatic moments. But no one, not even the production team, could have predicted the intensity that would unfold when Scrappy and Khaotic were placed in the same scene. What was meant to be just another scripted disagreement quickly turned into a full-blown confrontation. It would go down as one of the most explosive moments in the show's history, leaving both the cast and the audience stunned. The day began like any other, with the crew preparing for a new round of filming, with several storylines about to unfold. However, for Scrappy, this was a different kind of day. Lately, he had been under an enormous amount of pressure. He was facing personal struggles, family problems, relationship issues, and the constant scrutiny that came with being on the show. It was all becoming too much, weighing heavily on him and pushing him closer to the edge. But it wasn't just the usual stress that was bothering him that day, it was Khaotic. Khaotic was the new guy on the show, a brash and outspoken character who had been causing trouble since joining. Known for his sharp tongue and his even sharper attitude, Khaotic wasn't afraid to pick fights, especially if it meant he could get attention. Scrappy, who had spent years in the spotlight, was not impressed by Khaotic's antics. But there was something about the way Khaotic was challenging him lately, mocking him, trying to get under his skin, that was starting to drive him crazy. The tension between them had been building for weeks. Khaotic had been subtly undermining Scrappy, making fun of his past relationships, and taking jabs at his status within the love and hip-hop world. Scrappy had tried to brush it off, but today, he couldn't hold it in anymore. The scene started innocently enough. The producers had set up a confrontation between the two, thinking it would just be another round of verbal sparring. They were wrong. As soon as the cameras started rolling, Khaotic immediately went on the attack. His voice dripped with mockery. "You've been on this show for how long, and you still don't know how to handle your business, huh?" His words were sharp, aimed directly at Scrappy's pride. The smirk on Khaotic's face only made it worse. It was clear he was enjoying provoking Scrappy. Scrappy's patience, already wearing thin, started to crack. He had been trying to stay calm, to keep his composure, but Khaotic's constant taunting was getting under his skin. Scrappy was no stranger to conflict, but this felt different. Khaotic wasn't just talking about his personal life or relationships, he was attacking his very identity on the show, and that was something Scrappy wasn't willing to let slide. "Man, you need to watch your mouth," Scrappy muttered, his voice low but full of warning. Khaotic, of course, wasn't about to back down. Instead, he pushed even harder. "Watch my mouth." "Nah, I'm just calling it like I see it. You ain't built like you used to be, Scrappy. You're just another washed-up dude pretending to still be relevant." The words hit hard, slicing through the air like a knife. That was it. Scrappy snapped. In one swift movement, he reached out and slapped Khaotic across the face. The loud crack of impact echoed through the set, freezing everything in place for a moment. The crew, who had been filming with bated breath, gasped collectively. Khaotic's head snapped to the side, his expression one of shock, followed by a flash of fury. For a split second, Khaotic was stunned, but he quickly regained his composure. His eyes burned with anger as he lunged toward Scrappy, pushing past the security team that rushed to intervene. The camera zoomed in, capturing the chaotic scene unfolding in real time. There was no turning back now. The slap had ignited a fire, and neither man seemed ready to put it out. "You think you can just slap me and get away with it?" Khaotic growled, his fists clenched and his body tense with rage. Scrappy stood his ground, chest heaving with adrenaline. His own anger matched Khaotic's. "You've been running your mouth too long," Scrappy shot back, his voice thick with venom. "Now you see what happens when you don't know how to shut it." The cast and crew scattered around the set, watching in stunned silence as the two men squared off, still held back by security. The tension in the room was suffocating. The only sounds that broke the silence were harsh breathing and muffled shouts. It was clear that this wasn't just about the slap anymore. It was about respect. Two men who had both reached their breaking points and were too proud to back down. Realizing the situation had escalated beyond what they had intended, the producers quickly called for a break. Crew members rushed to separate the two, pulling them in opposite directions in an attempt to calm things down. But even though the cameras kept rolling, it was obvious that the damage had already been done. The slap wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment reaction, it was a statement. Scrappy was making it clear that no one, not even Khaotic, could disrespect him or try to take his place in front of the world. The conflict may have ended for now, but it was obvious that the animosity between them was far from over. As the cameras continued to capture the aftermath, it was clear that Love and Hip Hop Atlanta had just witnessed one of its most intense moments yet. The room was still buzzing with energy, and Scrappy's eyes locked onto Khaotic with an unsettling calmness, like a storm about to break. Bambi, Scrappy's wife, stood nearby, feeling the tension in the air. She had heard Khaotic's disrespectful words, and she knew her husband wouldn't let it slide. She could sense that something was about to happen, and when it did, she felt a mixture of relief and pride. She had always known that Scrappy would protect her, but seeing him defend her so fiercely stirred something deep within her. Their bond was unbreakable, and Scrappy's actions spoke louder than words ever could. For him, family came first no matter the cost. The rest of the cast watched in stunned silence. Some were unsure of how to react, while others might have secretly been relieved that someone had finally put Khaotic in his place. For Scrappy, the message was clear: family came first. No one could disrespect his loved ones, especially not on national television. The rest of the filming continued, but the atmosphere had changed. The slap had left its mark, and no one would forget it. It was a reminder of the lengths Scrappy would go to for the people he loved. As the cameras panned out, questions filled the air. How would this alter the group dynamic moving forward? Would Khaotic retaliate, or had he finally met his match in Scrappy? Whatever happened next, one thing was certain: this drama was far from over.